Okay, welcome to my video on how I created my 1099B macro, which basically took the wage and income transcript from the IRS and basically how to convert it to something a little more useful. So here we go. Let's see. The first thing you have to do is make sure that the developer tab is up there, and you have to go sort of find how to get that on there. I believe it's under add-ins and options, and once you get that up there, you click on Visual Basic. So here we are. So on the left-hand side, I have it already written out. And then what I'm going to do on the right-hand side is I'm just going to go line by line on how each line works. So the first part is just defining all your variables, basically all the sort of things you're going to be using in this macro. So first we need a title. So sub test. And then we need the end sub to be at the bottom. That there. Okay, so I have two worksheets I'm going to be using. I'm going to use all these different variables, which are just a long data type, which is basically just a whole number. And then I'm also going to have form name, which is going to be a string. So I'll have that there. To make sure we're not jumping back and forth between different screens, I'm going to set the screen updating to be false at the beginning, and then I'm going to set it true at the very end. I want to add a new sheet and assign the variable output sheet to that new sheet. So every time I run this, it's going to add a new sheet versus basically overriding a sheet that's already there. And then I set the input sheet to be the sheet that's labeled input sheet. So obviously make sure input sheet that's the exact name, underscore and all sort of case sensitive. So make sure I is capitalized and S is capitalized too. And so this obviously will be our input sheet. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all the data from this wage and income transcript, copy that, put that there, and I'm going to paste special and just the text. Now, sometimes it automatically splits to two columns because the delimiter is set on the data to columns thing. So I actually want to remove that just because the way I have the macro written, it doesn't work on a two-column thing, though I could rewrite the macro so that worked for two columns. But for now, I don't want to use two columns. Let's go here. So set the delimiter, remove that tab, and then just finish. Okay. So I'm going to delete this data and try again. So everything should still be saved to my clipboard, so I can just go here and then text. Okay, so now we're all in one column, so pretty easy. The first thing we want to do is sort of define what our last column, our last row of data is. So basically, when it runs this macro, it's not going through every single row because it takes more computer power. So it's easier just to go through the rows that are being used. So that is why the first thing is to define what our last row is going to be. Okay, so that's our last row, input sheet. The cells on the input sheet, and basically go up from the bottom up and find the first row that has data. So print. Okay, so I just want to double check that this is working correctly. So I'm just going to hit this. So it's going to create a new sheet. And then it's also in this intermediate window, it's going to tell me what the last row it finds is. So last row equals 3,337. Just double check that that's right. Yeah, so that's right. So we're on our way. Let's see. Here, so I have this just for error handling. Basically, if input sheet or output sheet, if either is nothing, basically if neither are being set because basically we can't find it, just a message box an error that one of the sheets does not exist. So, if this name you change it to something else, therefore input sheet can't be set. So we'll just hit this and out of range, lovely. So apparently it just gives you an error up there. Well, whatever. It's going to be whatever it is, at least it errors out versus trying to continue. so we'll go back to having that labeled correctly and moving on. And again, like I create a new sheet every time I run this. So onwards. Okay, so my one string variable is basically the form name. So form 1099B, proceeds from a broker or barter exchange. That's just copied straight from the 1099 or from the wage and income transcript, because basically that's the exact wordage I need to find to make this all work. So, okay, so exactly that is what I have my form string set to. Okay. Okay, so the first bit is basically go from 1 to last row. So we're all in column A. You can tell that from there. And basically find the number of times that this string appears in column A. And basically I want it to count the number of times that 1099B that occurs. And so basically count is 0 now. And so the first time it goes to the loop, it's going to find it and it's going to add 1 and it's going to find it again, add another 1. And basically at the end, your count equals the number of times that happens. So, boom. Okay, so let's find the number of times 1099B occurs in column A. Okay, so 69 times. Okay, now we need to start sort of dealing with the first occurrence of 1099B, and that's basically finding the first occurrence and setting that row to be J. So this is very similar to the loop above, except I have an exit for. So basically on the first time it finds that thing, it just exits the loop. It doesn't continue on, like, because if it continued on, then you end up actually, this would be the last time 1099B occurred, which you don't want. You want the first occurrence. So we're gonna leave that like that. And okay, so let's find the first time is 130. So I believe that's correct. Okay. Now I need to find the second instance that the 1099, that wordage occurs. So do this again. And all these things in green are just my little comments. So I try and add little comments, so explaining what each line of code does. So this is the same thing. It's basically, except I'm starting from J plus 1, because like if I started from 1 to last row, then I'd end up getting basically the first instance. Well, I want the second instance that it happens. And that's what K is going to be, is the second instance. So okay. Okay, so K is going to be 167. And these are all my different sheets that I keep creating. So we'll just delete those. Okay. So I'm going from here to 167. Yeah, okay. Okay, so 130 to 167. And so these are the rows I want to work with now. Here. So this is when I'm going to set my arrays. Basically, I'm going to go through what's between J and K, and everything that includes a colon, like right there, everything to the left of the colon is going to be an item, and everything to the right of the colon is going to be an amount, even though like this one's an ID number. But yeah, so we'll set the array by everything to the left is going to be an item, and everything to the amount is going to be the amount. So arrays are like a list of things, right? So, and the first thing I need though is to also define like how big my array is going to be. So this is another sort of very similar count loop, and it's basically go from J to K, find the number of times a colon appears, and just count it. And so C is going to equal the number of arrays, or the size of my array. Okay, so really quickly, just run it through. Okay, so my array is going to be, they're both going to be 28. So item's going to be 28 and amount's going to be 28. And I'm just going to redefine my dimensions of my array to be that 28. Okay, and then this is basically filling in the array with actual data. So like my header array is going to be filled in and my amount array is going to be filled in because it's basically going to go from J to K and fill in all my header and amount arrays. And then here I'm just going to put M equals 2. M is going to be your a row on your output sheet. So M equals 2. So basically I want to put the data I'm about to enter on row 2. Right. Okay, so basically go from 1 to C, which is the upper bound of the array, and basically fill in all the information for my array, which is both arrays, which is going to be just on this first 1099. So you can see all the data from just that first 1099 is now in there. But as you can see for pair and recipient, it doesn't quite work because as you can see, the pair isn't right of the colon and the recipient isn't the right of the colon. It ends up being 2 down from the pair or the recipient line. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to find this pair's federal identification number because I know this appears 1 below that. And I'm going to find the recipient's identification number, that verbiage, and find the 1 cell that below that to basically populate that those cells A2 and C2. And so that's what these two have to do. Okay. Okay, so I find the recipient and the pair and then offset 1. So go 1 below that. Okay, so now we have recipient and pair as both added in. Okay, so now we need to do this for the other 68 rows. So, and we're just going to do this M equals M plus 1 because basically the next row of data that I fill in, I want to make sure I'm not still at row 2. I want to be 3 or beyond, obviously. So the next one is going to be just a massive loop of sorts, loops within loops. So basically this is going to go from D equals 1 to that 69 number. It's going to go to 69 minus 2 because we're actually going to remove the first instance and we're going to remove the last instance. Then we just want to do everything in between. So J used to be the top of my range that I wanted, and K used to be the bottom. But now I want to go and basically switch it, or at least make J what was my former K. I mean, so yeah. So I want to the top will be the bottom will be the top, or something like that. Anyway, so I want to reassign my J to be the K, and then I want to find the next K, and it's basically from J plus 1 to last row. Find the next instance where 1099 B occurs. And then find K, which is going to be sort of my lower bound of my range. We're going to set B equals to 0 because I think I used B up here, and so it's already been set as, so like B has already been used, so I have to reset B to 0 because it's going to be my column on my output sheet. And then I'm going to do another loop here. B equals 1 to C, which is the upper bound of my array, and then also go from I, J to K. And basically, if I find the header value, which has already been set by that first instance, if I find the header value in the new range, basically find everything to the right of the colon and populate the row with the next row. And then on top of that, I have to do the same thing with the pair and recipient every single time. So this is basically going to go from instance 62 to 68 and should fill in everything in between. So do that. Where are we at? Okay. So we went from 60 from the first, so that's the first instance, and then we went from 2 to 68. This is 69 because there's a header. And so we filled all that in. Okay, so now we just need to do the last occurrence. The reason that last occurrence needs to be separately sort of out, let's see if I can find it. So, okay, so this is the last occurrence that 1099B occurs. And the reason we need to separate this out is because this is the one where basically the bottom of the prior, no, the bottom of the next array doesn't equal the top or something like that. Okay. Basically, I can't find form 1099B anymore because this is the last time it happened. So I need to somehow set the lower bound of that final range to be something that stops around here. So basically, I just went J plus 40. And there's probably a better way to do that where I can maybe identify the various number or various types of forms that might occur after 1099B. But so far, I've just done plus 40 rows, and that's been okay. I haven't had any issues with it. You could run into issues, but yeah, so I just have 40, which is sort of about right, 34. Anyway, so I just did 40, and this is for the last occurrence, and so I do everything sort of the same as before. Okay, so that will set the last occurrence, and so we do this on that. New sheet. So now we have that 70th row. So now this all looks good, except for some reason there's still a tab there, even though I have the trim function on. So I'm not sure why a tab keeps appearing, but any suggestions on how to remove the tab besides the trim function would be greatly appreciated. So my way of handling that is this last bit. This is basically go through every cell in the output sheet that's used. You know, C is my upper bound of my arrays, and then M is the last row. So go through all of these, find if there's a dollar sign in that occurs there, basically remove the tab. Remove the tab, remove any spaces, and format it as a number. And then also, I finally have application screen updating true to make sure that it goes back to screen updating. And so let's run this. Okay, so this is sort of your final sheet you're looking at. So it has all the numbers, it has everything sort of laid out, and all the columns are matching, you know. Yeah, so now you can sort of add the filter function and sort of go from there. You can add things up as you see fit. You can sort of figure out what's not covered, what is covered, what's short term, what's long term, and you can sort of manipulate data. Every once in a while you get something weird like this that doesn't quite go through, so we just manually make that change to make sure that everything is good. And you can use your subtotal function and your filter and sort of get subtotals of various things. Anyway, that's it. You can leave your suggestions or don't leave your suggestions at the bottom. Anyway, thank you.